Hey Book Club, Dan here from One Man Book Club. They've done it. They went and made a movie of The Wild Robot. So if you're a follower, you know Wild Robot. The Wild Robot is one of my most favorite, most beloved books ever. Back when I first started this channel, I made like 3 or 4 test videos to see how it would go. And I reviewed like 3 or 4 books that under a minute. I didn't have any fancy background or anything. I didn't even do any editing or anything like that. It was just there. I did it, and they're still there. You can see them today. They still get hits, but one of them was The Wild Robot, the very, very first video that I ever made for this channel. So I thought it was time to update the review of The Wild Robot. There's now 3 Wild Robot books, and now there's a movie of The Wild Robot. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the book first. And I saw the movie last night. It was just released, and I saw it. And I'm going to tell you what I think of the movie after I talk about the book, okay? So, here we go. Wild Robot. What a great idea. Ooh, I love how that sounds. Why didn't I think of that? I can't believe he can say so much in just a few words. Not fair. I wish I had been the one to think of this idea. I'm quoting myself. These are literally the thoughts, and many others like them, that popped into my head on nearly every page the first time I read The Wild Robot. I loved it so much, I wish that I'd written it myself. Peter Brown is very, very good. We love The Wild Robot in my family. All 3 books. I remember reading The Wild Robot for the first time. I read it myself. I was blown away, and then I immediately started over reading it out loud to my littles. They inhaled it and they embraced it, and when we finished, we began impatiently waiting for The Wild Robot Escapes, Book 2. And on the day Book 2 was released, we read it together. We started it and finished it just a few days later. We teared quietly and we cheered loudly at all the right places, and we fell in love with Roz, the robot, all over again. Book 3 was announced unexpectedly in like 2021, I think. Over a year before it was going to be published in 2023. And again, we waited anxiously for its release. It was a new crop of younger kids that I read it to this time, but because of their big brothers and sisters' love for Roz, we've all read this kind, loving robot's adventures together more than once. Now, we started reading The Wild Robot Protects together the day it was released to the world, but my kids were too slow, so I read it myself in one night. I couldn't wait. I wanted to see if the magic still held, and it did. There I was, all by myself, tearing quietly and cheering also quietly, because that would be weird, for a children's chapter book about a robot with a goose for a son who has taught herself to speak to animals. I'm still trying to figure out how a story like that can have the same impact on a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old and teenagers and their dad in his 40s. All 3 Wild Robot books are perfect middle grade stories. They're short, they have the chapters are short. They're rapid fire, and they're perfect for reading aloud or for letting a 10-year-old feel like he or she's reading quickly on her own. The simple sentence structure is flawless. It's a joy to read. Even the illustrations are beautiful, and whenever we came across one while reading, we would just stop reading and stare at it for a few moments. I'm telling you, there are few books with this much heart and even fewer with this much soul, and it's all because of a robot named Roz. Really, I can't recommend The Wild Robot, The Wild Robot Escapes, and The Wild Robot Protects more. They are as close to perfect as I've ever read. Just one note for parents, The Wild Robot Book 1 ends on kind of a sad note, and it's a cliffhanger. So you're going to want to be ready to help your young readers navigate some tender disappointment. And you're going to want to have The Wild Robot Escapes on hand immediately after Book 1 is finished. Assure them that everything works out in the end. Okay, is that enough gushing for the book, The Wild Robot book? You want to talk about the movie now? The movie. Okay. So I saw The Wild Robot last night. It was just released last night. I have a love-hate relationships with books and their movies. I love the books, but I hate their movies. Yet I still see them because I have this hope that one movie will move me as much as their book. Just one day, I hope it will. And I'm nearly always disappointed until now. You guys, the Wild Robot movie was absolutely incredible. It went the route I wish others would take. Instead of trying to mimic the book on the big screen, which they do over and over and over again, and it never works, instead of that, they rewrote the story. They kept the major elements, the plot points, the themes, but they retold it in a way that translated perfectly to a visual story told in about 100 minutes. The feelings, the cheers, the feelings, the cheers, the tears, the love, the connection. Oh, it was all there. It was beautiful. Literally beautiful. In fact, maybe the most beautiful animated film I've ever seen. Everyone loved it in the theater. The children, the teens, the dads, the moms, the grandpas, the grandmas, there were tears. And when it was over, for happiness. The part I was most worried about was that ending. If it ended like the book on a cliffhanger, so the movie could have a sequel, I would have been pretty disappointed, but it didn't. The writers incorporated some of book 2 into the ending of book 1 to give it the perfect ending with just enough open-endedness to allow for the Wild Robot Escapes movie, which I haven't heard anything about, but I sure hope it gets made. Peter Brown, thank you for creating Roz and giving her so much heart. She is an inspiration. You read the books first, then go see the movie. You're gonna be so happy you did. Happy reading, happy movie watching.